I was crying earlier. 8 of my friends died this year. I was thinking about them and how badly I was treated when I came back to Liverpool Art School. I was looking after my Uncle Fred as he was dying of cancer. I was 5 minutes late getting back to the studio after running to Falkner Street to give him his tablets, and they docked my wages. Now I've gone and spilt a hot cup of tea all over myself. I hope this isn't one of those obscene calls again. I was so upset last month I sprained my ankle when I jumped out of bed in shock at 5 a.m. He was, while he was saying he wants to pray over my body. It was dark and I was scared. I still shake now thinking of it. I know who it is. His name is... Oh, hang on a minute. Hello? Hello? The Miss Amy June Furlong drawing studio? Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Smashing. Well, there's only one June Furlong. Marvellous. Okay, Professor. Thank you. Goodbye. That was the professor from the art school. He's a lovely man, but I wouldn't hang my hat in his hall. Do you know what I mean? They're going to name one of the drawing rooms in the John Lennon Art and Design School after me. I hope they hurry up, as I don't think I'll be here much bloody longer. Sit in front of me. OK, I can see your outline now. Now, where was I with my stories? Right, focus. I came back from London, and who was here but John Lennon? I saved his life. Without me, the Beatles would never have existed. John Lennon and his pal Stuart Sutcliffe. Lennon was a tremendous character, but I told him straight. He would never account to anything as an artist, but I never had a cross word with him. He would be here today if it wasn't for that Yoko Ono. He would still be alive and be living in Liverpool. Stuart Sutcliffe could have gone on to great things. He was a brilliant artist, but he died young of a brain hemorrhage. There was talk that he'd had a blow to the head fighting with Lennon. Lennon used to come into the art building as a young student, and although he liked the atmosphere of the art college and he liked his pals, he liked everybody. He didn't do much work. And all the others would say, Shut up, John, sit down and get on with your work. Because they didn't have much experience with life drawing, and they had to pass their life class to get on to the next stage. He would sit outside Ye Crack pub and shout, Hey, June, come and have a drink with me. I didn't have time to have a drink. I had a strict routine. Artists had to be able to draw in those days. John Lennon was a laugh all right. He liked my style and elegance. Well, you either have it or you haven't. And I had bucket loads full of it. I came into this life with style, and boy, I'll go out with it. My good friend is coming here today. She is very, very good to me. I've known her since 1977 when she was an art student. When she comes, don't say anything to upset her. For God's sake, don't call her lowlife. I'll tell you why. She hasn't spoken to me since I punched her in the face. It was a misunderstanding. She arranged with my GP to get me assessed, and he sent the ICRAS nurses round. They come twice a day now. Well, I'd had another fall. I walked into a crate of Ensure that one of the nurses left in the middle of the kitchen, and I ripped a chunk of flesh out of my leg. My friend called the doctor. My doctor is Spanish. He came to see me and he said, How are you today? bloody fantastic, what do you think? Then I thought, I know, I will speak to him Spanish, make him feel at home. I'm a bit rusty, but I said, hola, hidio de la mil putas, me he cortado la pierna. Apparently I'd insulted him. He walked straight back out of the house. He was all dressed up in his PPE gear and all that. How was I to know? I'd said, hello, son of 1,000 bitches, I've cut off my leg. I haven't been to Spain for bloody years. I am not the typical 2-week tourist. I have great experience in Mallorca and in life. I ran to the door after him and I shouted down the street saying, hey mate, what about my leg? He looked over his shoulder shouting, the nurse will call around to dress it. Before the nurse came, my friend said, she'll be here in a minute. Why don't you put on a clean dressing gown and freshen up? She made me so mad. I wish people would keep out of my business. It's not like I was going to see Paul McCartney. I flung my fists into her face, pushed her against the credenza saying, with all due respect, feck off. And so she did. I told my friend straight what I thought of her, in front of the nurse. I said, all you are is lowlife. You will never be an artist. Never make it big time, I said. And I looked her straight in the eye. I said, you've probably been on the dole all your life, like the rest of the Liverpool artists. You are going to desert me, I said. I could tell just by looking at her eyes. I was right. I haven't seen her since. I heard the nurse telling her outside not to come back. The nurse was telling her that it's bad enough that they get paid to have to put up with abuse like that. Oh, this'll make you laugh. One day, she put a piece of delicious cod in the cat's bowl and mixed it up with the cat food because I'd left it on the table overnight. Boy, was I going mad. Wasting good food like that. I was screaming at her. Be nice, she said. Be nice. Well, as soon as she left, I got down on my knees and ate it. Oh, you should have seen her face when I told her the next day. She wrote me a letter. Said she'd been told to back off by the social worker while they sort out a care package. That social worker, that bloody big fat thing, I told her when she last came around. Ring my friend now and tell her she's got to come back to help me with shopping. I haven't got any money here and I haven't got any food. I just haven't got a clue what to do. I've got enough money to buy out half of Liverpool, but I can't get to the bank as I haven't been able to get my eye drained and I've got macular degeneration in the other one. I'm going bloody blind on top of everything else. I've got one eye, one kidney and one hip. The doctor said I've got cancer, but I've had it for so long I don't believe him. Mother went quickly. She had cancer, but she smoked. I told that big fat thing, I said, you're crackers. I don't need a care plan. The Smiths can look after me. They live next door. He's an artist and she's got blue hair and I was a witness at their wedding. They owe me, I said. She just ignored me. I was a star turn in all the art schools. I grew up in them. The best finishing school in the world. I speak the international language of art. I was the leading model in Britain, a friend to the famous and the stars. John Gregson, Lucian Freud, Frank Auerbach, Francis Bacon, Kossoff. I never met David Hockney in London. I would have liked to, but he came later. They don't take dickheads at the Royal Academy of Art. And now look at me, retired, losing me independence, relying on friends and bloody carers. I want to stay in this house. I was born here 90 years ago, upstairs in the back bedroom. I want to die here. My friend does my shopping and I give her a big note and she brings me the change. We keep the receipts in a folder. She is a very good shopper. I told her I would give her a cheque when it reaches £200, but I'm not paying for food I don't eat. She makes me soup and fish and vegetables. Oh, delicious meals. And she used to give me a shower once a week, but now she's worried in case I fall. She's very practical because she is a mother. I call her the drudge behind her back, because we all know what women who've had children are like. She washes my hair and dries it in the front kitchen, and we talk about art. I haven't eaten for 3 weeks now. I just have 4 ensures a day. I am up and down, opening the door for them. I'm not Speedy Gonzales. They come in here, spreading the coronavirus germs everywhere, rooting down me letters in the hall for the visitor's permit for their car, but they won't find us. Oh, I've hidden it. And they knock stuff off. They take it out in bags. Granny's silver has gone missing. I still haven't found my grey dressing gown. I refuse to cooperate with them. I don't speak to them. I stand behind the door and open it wide to let them in, and I fold my fingers around the door like a horror movie. I am not putting a key in the key safe. I don't want anybody letting themselves into my beautiful house and helping themselves. Get on to this. I will go bloody mad if anyone comes into this house and throws anything away. And that bloody cleaner must be deaf. She never answers me when I speak to her. Go easy on the washing up liquid and stay out of my fridge, and while you are at it, get your own feckin' pet. She offered to take my cat Ziggy home. She said I wasn't coping just because I punched him and knocked him off my lap. He is my bloody cat, and I will do what I want with him. I'm going to tell my friend today she is far too emotional. That's her problem. If I'm dead, I am dead, and that's the end of it. Leave me to it. If you don't hear from me for 48 hours, call the undertaker. She got upset because I told the police she'd tried to kill me. The mystery, who I am sure is on the game, rang her because she didn't get an answer when she phoned me at 9 a.m. to wish me a good morning. They'd both been trying to contact me since the night before, and they turned up here banging on my door. The whole street was out. They called the police, and typical of the police, they came in heavy-handed and smashed my door down and knocked a clock off the wall. Once you get the police in your house, you can't get rid of them. They banged on the bedroom door and shouted my name over and over again. I thought it was Ziggy purring. I'd been out cold for 24 hours. I woke up and saw 3 of them in uniform at the end of the bed. I sat bolt upright and pointed to my friend and told them she'd tried to kill me by giving me too much salt. And I stood up and shimmied me hips, and they laughed. Oh, they thought I was hilarious. So I thought, this is great. I told them that the first time she tried to kill me, she bought me a pair of slippers that were too big. I tripped on them and fell down the stairs carrying a plate, and the plate smashed and cut right into my head, and I pointed to the scar to prove it. Oh, they were howling, laughing. They had seen me on the telly in a house through time. I am the famous Miss Amy June Furlong, I told them, as I swayed me hips. I bet you are famous around here, love, one of the officers said. Bloody cheek. My friend didn't think it was funny. They didn't smash your door in, she said. They popped the chain off and that can be put back on. I will call the housing. We thought you were dead. That chain has been on that door since Granny put it on. And you know what thought did? Followed a dust cart and thought it was a wedding. Well, that was the day that everything changed. The big fat thing said that if she'd been there when I was throwing serious accusations about attempted murder around, she would have safeguarded me and I would never see my friend again. She said sometimes people do try and kill elderly people. I didn't mean it. I trust her with my life. They haven't got a bloody sense of humour. I'm a Liverpudlian. Liverpool Irish. Granny always cooked fish on Friday because she was Irish. I know how to have a laugh. Now, focus, focus, focus. I have got to get this story right. Cross my heart and hope to die. This is the truth. Now, like I said, unless you passed the life drawing, you did not do your intermediate certificate, and then you couldn't get on what you had chosen to do. But London life was okay, but different from Liverpool life. I lived in Hampstead, which was expensive. First, I lived at 4 Belsize Park, which is right opposite Abbey Road Studios. I was asked to come back from London because they couldn't get decent models here. Being an artist model is nothing like being a page 3 girl with their flesh on show. You had to have character as an artist model. You were surrounded by creativity. My mother said they've always been decent to you, June, but really she wanted me back. I kept in touch with the artists in London, and they would write to me, and Frank Auerbach came occasionally to see me in Liverpool, and I would go to London to see him. To this day, I deeply regret what happened with Frank Auerbach. I asked my friend to write to him, but he didn't want to know. He sent her a letter saying something about not having any pictures of me posing privately because I didn't take the course of many sittings for months, if not years, that he needed to produce a painting. Now, at least he got in touch, though. That meant a lot. OK, focus, focus, focus. I have got to get this right. Now, where was I? Life was good here. Adrian Henry, Sam Walsh, all the Liverpool artists were here. The happenings and all that. Oh, life was good. I went back to the art school and I was sitting in the life room waiting for the students to turn up. And the door flew open and in came John Lennon. Now, I had never seen John Lennon in my life before. And he looked at me. I was in house robes and he said, "My name is John Lennon and I have enrolled here and part of my course is drawing from you. Is that all right?" I said, "Yeah, of course it is." He came in and made an attempt at the life drawing, but he was not good at it. Not good at all. He would never make the fame and fortune he did as a Beatle by drawing, if you know what I mean. He got a bit better later on. His group were all there, and he would come in and he would start telling stories because they were quite funny, and they could draw and laugh at his stories. But not always, because if they had a drawing they needed to do, then they needed to concentrate. So one day, John Lennon comes in, and I was in the middle studio on the top floor of 68 Hope Street. He came into the live studio and he shouted out. Oh, he sounded upset. Usually, like I said, they would all shout, "Shut up and get on with your drawing." He always wanted them to go to the Empire Theatre, the Royal Court, the Pivy, anywhere where there were big stars of the day on. This day, though, he stood there and blurted out that Julia, his mother, had died. She had got an outright knockdown up where he lived with his Aunt Mimi near Strawberry Fields. The whole place was silent. Nobody said a word. Nobody said one word. Then, John Lennon, he was running all over the art college. Nobody could quieten him down. I still carried on with the pose. That was my life. That is how I was trained since I was 17. You have got to do your job. You cannot start running out of the class. The art school was a window to the world. Break came, and I went out of the studio to talk to a fella named Ian Walker. He was a rough diamond. He came from Kirby, but he could certainly draw and paint, and he wanted to go on with his painting. I looked around into the corridor and saw John Lennon with his leg over the banister of the lift shaft. This was the 4th floor up, and the lift was in the basement. I was a bit shocked, you know. There was a drop right down, and I thought, be careful here. Be careful, don't give him a fright. If he jumps down there, he will be a goner. But he had his leg. Now, say that is the banister, and that is his leg. And he was looking down. He intended to throw himself down there. I thought, he is going to kill himself. So I approached very quietly and I said, "Are you all right, John?" And he heard my voice and he said, looking startled, "Yes, I am all right." And he ran out into the street. Ran right out, right down the stairs, right out into the street. Of course, I was in a dressing gown because I was on my break. And I followed him into the street because I thought if a car comes and hits him, he is a goner. You know, he was out of his mind. So then somebody went into the office. This is a true story. Everybody had tried to calm him down. Leading Liverpool painter Nicholas Horsfield had tried to calm him down. No good. Somebody had the brainwave to go into the library and ring up Arthur Ballard, a good artist, a Liverpudlian and head of foundation. They told him what had happened. Now, he got on very well with John Lennon. He could handle personalities, you see. Arthur Ballard left his office on the foundation in Hope Place and came right up. I was standing on the corner of Hope Street and I looked at him and Arthur said to me, "Keep him there, whatever you do, keep him there." I don't know much about pop music, but I tried to talk to him about things and made sure he was there okay. It was right on the corner of Mount Street and Hope Street where my mother was born, you see. So, Arthur Ballard came back with a taxi that he had picked up here in Catherine Street. And he came quickly with the taxi. And he'd been into an off-licence on Falkner Street and he had bought half a bottle of whiskey. He came with the taxi. I still had John Lennon on the corner of the street. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I think he was going to run off to see Paul McCartney, but I thought to myself, I have got to keep him here. Arthur came with the taxi and said, "Oh, hi, John. How are you?" Pretending he didn't know anything about this. And he said, "OK, John, get in. Here you are. I've got a nice present for you." And he handed him the whiskey. Now, he didn't know where John Lennon lived. Mind you, Arthur Ballard was clever. He said, "Get in, John. Tell the taxi driver where you live, John." John told him the address, which was up near Strawberry Fields, and Arthur asked the taxi driver if he knew where it is. Ballard gave him a tip and said, "Make sure you do not leave him at the garden gate. Walk him right up to the path, ring the bell, and make sure his Auntie Mimi opens the door and he gets inside the house. We will see you in about 2 weeks' time, John. We'll see you soon." Oh, Ballard handled it brilliantly. The next thing, in about 10 days' time, John Lennon came back, and he was all right. You know what? He was well brought up by his Auntie Mimi. The first thing he did, he went to the foundation and gave Arthur Ballard the money back for the taxi. And that is a true story. John Lennon used to tell me everything. He always had his eye on music, but he used to call into the art school and kept in touch. I mean, they used to play at night and they were just back from Germany, you know, the prostitute area. And they only had enough money for beans on toast for the four of them after playing for about 3 hours solid. One day, as I came out of my changing room in the large studio in the original art college, 68 Hope Street, John said to me, "This fella, his name is Epstein. He wants to manage us." I said, "Oh, who is he?" He said, "Well, he's got a record shop in Whitechapel. He's from a rich family, Jewish, lives on Queen's Drive." I said to him, "Well, what have you got to lose?" And John said, "Not a lot." And he cracked up laughing. So he goes down to the shop and he saw Epstein sorting through the records. And he goes in and says, "Do you still want to manage us?" And Epstein says, yeah, I do. So John Lennon, being John Lennon, says, where's that contract? I'll sign it. The next day, I was coming out of my changing room and John called in to see me and said, I signed that contract, you know. I said, OK, John. Epstein had gone to some funny club they were playing and recognised the sound of the time and the music, and he made them world class because they weren't world class then. I only knew John from the art school, and when he came back into the art school to see me, I only knew John as a friend, a sincere, natural friendship. I didn't know what they were going to do and go on to be. He had a girlfriend called Cynthia, and he married her. He was not the right person to marry her. This will be my friend the artist. She's got a key. She owes me. I gave her an extra hour life drawing when she was only 17 and on foundation. Without me, she would never have got into the art school. Come in, mate. Come in, come in, come in. I will tell you the next time about the pantomime John Lennon organised and when he came around to borrow my granny's clothes. The salmon's in the door. My friend Johnny sent it from the Hebrides. Put it in the fridge and don't let that bloody cleaner clap her eyes on it. If you put in some good stuff years ago, you get it back when you are older. I was always brought up to believe if somebody does you wrong, just walk away. They're not worth bothering with. We've been good friends for bloody years. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. We can't fall out now. I trust you with my life.
Go on then. What are you going to tell me
Now,
about John Lennon?
What do you want to know?
Epstein.
Epstein, right.
But you had...
So
That's too
we're
cold.
recording now. Are we?
Yeah.
Well,
Just your point.
Epstein was from a rich family, Jewish, and he lived up in Queen's Drive, where all the rich Jews live, where they still live today.
Yeah.
And John, I was just back from the London Art School, and John Lennon was a student
Is
at
that too
the
hot?
art college.
Just check.
Now, are you going to interrupt me or what?
No, but I just don't want to burn your head.
It's okay.
Yeah?
It's okay, not bad.
Okay.
So John Lennon said to me, this fellow, his name's, I was coming out of my changing room at the big studio in the original art college, okay?
68,
Where you've got
yeah.
the photograph of me.
That's right.
And coming out that studio.
Yeah.
And John Lennon had arrived, you see.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him and this and that and the other. And then he used to tell me everything, John Lennon. And he'd come in and he wanted all his group to go to see these things at the Empire and this and that and the other. He always had his eye on music.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they used to play at night and they were just back from Germany. The prostitute area, they had enough money just for beans on toast before the four of them after playing about 3 hours solid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I said to him, John Lennon, he came up to me, he said, this fellow, he said, his name's Epstein, and he said, he wants to manage us. And I said, well, who is he? He said, well, he's got a record shop in Whitechapel. I said to him, well, what have you got to lose? He said, not a lot. And he cracked up laughing. I said, what have you got to lose? I said, he said, he wants to manage us. And he went down, and being cheeky as he was, he said, he found Epstein had heard them in playing in some funny club, and recognised the sound, the music of the time. But they needed polishing up to get world class. Yeah, they weren't good enough for world class then. And being John Lennon, he goes in the shop, and it happened that Epstein himself walked up the shop, sorting through the records. And he goes in, he said, Epstein was there, and John Lennon, he said, do you still want to manage us? And Epstein said, yeah, I do. And John, this all going all over my face more.
Okay.
I don't think I'm in the thing properly.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes,
Just one more.
that's right. So, John Lennon being John Lennon, where's the contract? I'll sign it. And then the next day I was coming out of my changing room there, and John Lennon was there. He said, I've signed that contract, you know. I said, okay, John, good, you know. I just used to answer whatever he asked me. You know what I mean? I didn't know what they were going to do. I didn't know anything like that.
Did you think he was a special person, June?
A special what?
Person. John
Well, I
Lennon.
didn't see him enough. I only saw him in the art college. I don't know
Yeah.
what he was doing outside, did I?
No.
And also, he had a girlfriend called Cynthia Lennon, who
Yeah.
later he married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got married to Cynthia Lennon, who was not the right wife for him.
Do you want to wash your face or anything?
No, that's
Okay.
all right, Moira. I'll do that separately.
Right. Should we go in the other
Yeah,
room?
that's all. I'll do the face separately,
Yeah.
and I've got cream, but I love that. And the other one's in the fridge with the peas.
Yeah.